There is a row of SUVs parked at the back of a dealer lot, out past the good spots, and if you walk it slowly, you can tell which ones have been sitting longest without reading a window sticker. The tires tell you first. A vehicle that has not moved in months takes a set in the rubber, and when they roll it out, you feel it through the seat. A thump at 20 miles an hour, once per revolution. Then look at the rotors through the spokes. A driven car has a bright silver friction ring on that disc. A car that sat through a wet spring has an orange bloom across the whole face. I have jump-started more brand new cars in the back corner of a dealer lot than I could count, and that job teaches you one thing. A new car is not a new car. It is a car that has not been sold yet. Those are different things, and the gap can run most of a year. There is a national snapshot that ranks every new vehicle in America by market day supply. The slowest selling new SUV in the country sits on 349 days of it. One that lands on a lot this morning may see the 2027 calendar before it sees a driveway. Now the title up there says nobody wants them. Let me be straight before we go a step further. That is not what the number means, and the honest version is better than the insult. Market day supply does not measure whether anybody wants a thing. One of the SUVs on this list is, by the testing and by its own owners, excellent. It sits because of a decision made in a meeting 3 years ago, not because anyone drove it and walked away disgusted. So, 12 SUVs straight off one national snapshot from the 1st of this month, counted down. With each one, I ask the only question that matters. Is it the car or is it the price? Stay for number 9 especially, because that one has no business being on this list, and it is the cleanest example I have seen of a number lying while telling the literal truth. And stay to the end, because I want to show you who is actually paying for those SUVs while they sit. It is not who you think. Let me count them down. First, 30 seconds on the number, because if you do not have this straight nothing after it lands right. Market day supply is arithmetic a child could do. Take how many are sitting on dealer lots. Divide by how many sell per day. That is how long it takes to clear the shelf if the factories stop shipping tomorrow. Around 60 days is healthy. The whole American new vehicle market was near 76 days this past May, across roughly 2.89 million vehicles. So anything over 200 is not a wobble. That is a car the market is walking around. But here is the fact that reframes the whole thing. Hold on to it. Used cars in this country are running about 37 days of supply. That is the tightest they have been since 2021. Wholesale used values hit their highest point since the summer of 2023. Americans are not sitting on their hands. Americans are buying cars like the water is rising. What Americans have stopped doing is buying new cars at $49,220, which is roughly what the average new vehicle transacted for this past May. That is it. That is the whole video. Every SUV coming up is a variation on that one sentence. Number 12. The Mercedes-Benz EQS SUV. 124 days of supply. 98 found buyers in 45 days. I am leading with the big electric 3-row because it kills the premise immediately. It is not a tariff car. It is built in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, with battery packs from a plant 1 county over. Nobody at customs is touching it. And it is not a bad car. It is quiet, it is enormous, it carries 7, and the people who own them are fond of them. Mercedes cut the sticker by $15,300 to about $91,100 with delivery. Then, on the 1st of September, 2025, they paused building the American version entirely. They kept building it for the rest of the world. They just stopped building it for us. Deliveries did not restart until January. Why that date? The $7,500 federal credit died on the 30th of September, 2025. On a $91,000 electric SUV, that credit was not a discount. It was the business case. Take it away and the arithmetic will not close. So, is it the car or is it the price? Neither. It is the coupon. Number 11. The Alfa Romeo Tonale. 172 days. 64 sold in 45 days. 64. Across the entire United States. Here you watch the fee and ignore the sticker. The base Sprint lists at $36,995, a $500 bump over last year. Reasonable, nothing to see. Now look at the destination charge. $3,250. 2 model years ago, it was $1,595. It more than doubled. and the mechanically identical Dodge Hornet, built on the same line in Pomigliano d'Arco and loaded onto the same boat, asked $1,995 for the identical trip. Destination is not negotiable and not in the advertised price. It is the one line nobody argues about because everybody assumes it is a real number for a real service. Meanwhile, the plug-in version got dropped for 2026, the Hornet got killed outright early this year, the Italian unions say Tonale production ends in November of 2027, and the platform underneath traces back to 2005. Is it the car or is it the price? Look very carefully at where they put the price. Number 10. The Land Rover Discovery Sport. 186 days. 144 sold in 45 days. This one has almost nothing to do with you. On the 31st of August, 2025, Jaguar Land Rover was hit by a cyber attack that took down their systems and stopped every assembly line the company owns. Halewood in England, where the Discovery Sport is built, was the last plant back online. Production did not return to normal until mid-November. The damage shows up like a crater. For the quarter ending the 31st of December, North American wholesale volumes were down 64.4%, not down a bit, down by nearly 2/3. Add a 10% tariff on British-built cars coming into America, add a Discovery Sport openly at the end of its life, and you have a 186-day number that has nothing to do with the vehicle and everything to do with a group of criminals and a customs form. It is not the car and it is not the price. It is a bad year that no driver had any part in. Number 9. The Jeep Cherokee. 199 days. This is the one I told you to wait for. 3,556 Cherokees sold in 45 days. Read that against the 64 Tonales. This is not a car nobody wants. It is one of the better-selling compact SUVs in the country, sitting at a 200-day number. And the reason is a launch, not a rejection. The Cherokee came back for 2026 after a 2-year hiatus, built in Toluca, Mexico. It is Jeep's first proper hybrid. A 1.6-liter turbo 4 with 2 electric motors, 210 horsepower, 37 miles per gallon combined, over 500 miles on a tank, all-wheel drive standard. $36,995 with delivery. But Jeep launched it backwards. The only trims you could buy at first were the expensive ones, Limited and Overland, up around $45,000. The base car and the Laredo did not reach dealers until early this year. So for months the lots filled with the version most shoppers were not looking for, and the arithmetic did the rest. That is what a 200-day number looks like when nothing is wrong at all. Honest caveat, because I am not here to sell you one. It is slow, 8.7 seconds to 60. But the number is not judging that. Is it the car or is it the price? Neither. It is a calendar. Number 8. The Jeep Grand Wagoneer and its long wheelbase twin, the Grand Wagoneer L. 215 days and 204 days. Worth your attention because Jeep did the obvious thing and it did not work. For 2026, they gutted the price. The base Grand Wagoneer went from a sticker in the mid-80s to $64,740 with delivery. A cut of more than $20,000 in one model year. They killed the Wagoneer sub-brand nonsense, put a Jeep badge back on the nose, made rear-wheel drive standard, and swapped the high-output twin-turbo 6 for the standard tune. $20,000 off. And it still sits at 215 days. Which tells you it was never $20,000 overpriced. The top of that range still runs past $101,000, and at those numbers you are cross-shopping an Escalade and a Navigator against people who know precisely what they want. Jeep as a brand sat at 151 days of supply in February, up from 123 a year earlier. That is not one model. That is a lineup. When a $20,000 cut does not move the metal, it was never a discount problem. Number 7. The Buick Envision. 227 days. 2,648 sold in 45 days. A real mainstream high-volume SUV and the cleanest tariff story on the list. The Envision is built in Shanghai and shipped here. It has carried a 25% China tariff since 2018. General Motors asked for an exemption, got told no in 2019, and ate the tariff rather than raise the price on you, for years. They are not eating it anymore. The 2026 Envision starts at $41,000 plus a $1,995 delivery charge. Call it $42,995 before you touch an option. Up about $4,500 in under 12 months. The market answered instantly. Fourth quarter sales fell almost 61% to 5,054 units. The full year finished down 11.4%, off a peak of more than 47,000. Same factory, same car, $4,500 more dollars. And General Motors has announced the next generation moves to Kansas City in 2028, which tells you they know exactly what the problem is. Is it the car or is it the price? It is the price, and the price is a customs form. Number 6. The Alfa Romeo Stelvio, 229 days. 36 sold in 45 days. 36. Here is the number that puts the brand in perspective. Alfa Romeo sold 5,652 vehicles in the United States in all of 2025. Every model, every dealer, 12 months. The Stelvio was 1,872 of them. And through the second quarter of this year, the entire brand has moved 1,747 cars. Mazda sold 5,010 Miatas over the same stretch. A two-seat convertible outsold a whole car company by nearly 3-to-1. The Stelvio was revealed in November of 2016 and went on sale here for the 2018 model year. It drives beautifully. It always has. That was never the problem. The problem is that Alfa promised the replacement would be electric only. Watch the electric market cool right underneath them and had to re-engineer the whole vehicle for combustion. That pushed the new Stelvio back roughly 2 years. So the current one, a design pushing a decade old, got extended through 2027 to cover a hole in the plan. The car did not get worse. Its replacement got later. Those two look identical on an inventory report. Number 5. The Jeep Wrangler 2-door. 230 days. And here's where the premise falls apart completely. 1,567 two-door Wranglers sold in 45 days. That is more than the Tonale, the Stelvio, the Grecale, the SQ7, the Polestar, and the ID.4 put together, several times over. Nobody wants a two-door Wrangler? 1,500 people wanted one in 6 weeks. The two-door is the purest Wrangler there is. Short wheelbase, solid axles front and rear, 6-speed manual standard, doors that come off, roof that comes off, $36,035 with delivery for a sport. It is also the version most people do not buy, because most people buy the 4-door. Jeep keeps building 2 doors anyway. Honest disclosure, because that matters more than being right. Forward collision warning is not standard on the base sport. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety rated the 4-door only acceptable in the small overlap front test and marginal or poor for headlights and crash avoidance, but 230 days on a vehicle moving 1,500 copies a month and a half is not rejection. That is a factory building more of a specific thing than there are buyers for it. A very old story. Number 4. The Maserati Grecale. 233 days. 48 sold in 45 days. It is Maserati's entry-level model, and it starts around $80,000. Here is the number that ends the argument. Maserati sold roughly 7,900 vehicles worldwide in 2025. Not in America, worldwide. Down about 30% in a year, and their worst since 2012. That same year, Ferrari sold 13,640 cars, and Lamborghini 10,747 at 2 and 3 times the money. Both outsold Maserati while charging more. The Grecale is not the problem. It is quick and genuinely satisfying to drive. The problem is that nobody, including the people who own the brand, can tell you what a Maserati is for anymore. Too expensive to fight a BMW, not special enough to walk past a Porsche, stranded in the middle with a Trident doing all the lifting. It is not the car and it is not the price. It is the badge, and what the badge means now. Number 3. The Audi SQ7. 255 days. 71 sold in 45 days nationally. In the entire state of Texas, 6. This is the one I promised you, because it is a genuinely excellent vehicle. 4-liter twin-turbo V8, 500 horsepower, 568 pound-feet, 3.9 seconds to 60 in a 3-row family SUV, which means it will pull the doors off most sports cars while carrying a booster seat. Adaptive air suspension, rear wheel steering, Quattro. The independent testing rates it well. Owners rate its quality 5 out of 5. Not a lemon, not a joke. A very fine machine. And it sits for 255 days because it starts at $93,800 and it drinks 14 miles per gallon in town, and the platform underneath it was shown to the world more than 10 years ago, and every person on that showroom floor knows a brand new Q7 is coming. That is the entire lesson of this list, standing in one parking space. Market day supply is not a quality score. It never was. You can build a superb thing and still price it into a corner at the exact moment everybody starts waiting for the next one. Is it the car or is it the price? It is a $100,000 price on a 10-year-old bone structure. Number 2. The Polestar 4. 318 days. 93 sold in 45 days. The strangest story on the list by a distance. The Polestar 4 is a coupe-shaped electric crossover with no rear window. None. There is a solid panel where the glass ought to be and a roof-mounted camera feeding a screen where your mirror goes. It is built in Busan, South Korea by Renault. It went on sale in America in December of 2025 with a $10,000 launch discount just to get it moving. 7 months later, in June of this year, the Commerce Department refused to authorize Polestar to sell vehicles here at all from the 2027 model year under the Connected Vehicle Rule. That rule, adopted at the start of 2025, bans connected vehicles from manufacturers owned or controlled by China. Polestar is Swedish, designed in Sweden, assembled in Korea, and majority owned by Geely. Volvo, same parent company, got its approval in May. Polestar did not. So the brand is winding down here. Discounts have reached $25,000, which puts it just over 30. 94% of Polestar's first quarter sales came from outside America anyway. Is it the car or is it the price? It is a letter from a federal agency. Nobody test drove their way to 318 days. And number 1. The Volkswagen ID.4. 349 days. 151 sold in 45 days. And Volkswagen said the quiet part out loud, which is why it takes the top spot. The ID.4 was built in Chattanooga, Tennessee. American plant, American workers. In 2025, Volkswagen sold 22,373 of them here, up over 31%. It was working. Then the federal credit died at the end of September, and in the fourth quarter, Volkswagen sold 248. Not 248,000. 248. In April of this year, Volkswagen stopped building it. The Chattanooga line is being turned over to the Gasoline Atlas instead. The ID.4 is finished in America. And here's the line that made me want to do this episode. Volkswagen stated that the 2026 ID.4 remains available through current inventory, which the company expects will support customer demand into 2027. Sit with that. The manufacturer publicly announced it has enough leftover stock to cover demand into next year. That is the automaker telling you the dealer lot is the warehouse now. And it is a decent car. Handsome, fine to drive, with the dumbest window switches I have put a thumb on in a decade. It also had a stop sale in 2024 when nearly 99,000 were recalled because water could reach a circuit board in the door handle and unlock a door on its own. Is it the car or is it the price? It is a subsidy that expired and a factory that moved on. All right. This is the part that actually matters, and it is the reason I wanted to make this one. Walk back out to that row of SUVs at the back of the lot. 12 of them. $600,000 of metal sitting out in the weather. Ask yourself one simple question. Whose money is that? Not the dealers. Almost never the dealers. Car dealers do not buy their inventory with cash. They use something called floorplan, which is a revolving line of credit secured by the cars themselves. The lender holds the title until the car sells, and interest accrues on every single unit, every single day from the day it gets floored. Then it gets sharper. At 90 days or 120 depending on the contract, the lender demands what is called a curtailment. That is a chunk of principal the dealer has to pay down out of his own pocket, just for the privilege of still owning a car he has not sold. Some lenders stack an aging surcharge on top. Electric vehicles frequently get their own separate credit sublimit and a lower advance rate, because nobody trusts what they will be worth. And who is the lender? On new cars, most of the time, it is the manufacturer's own finance arm. Ford Credit, General Motors Financial, Ally, which used to be General Motors Acceptance Corporation. Now put the whole chain together and look at it. The factory got paid the day that SUV rolled onto the truck. The manufacturer's finance company collects interest on it every day it sits in the weather. The dealer eats the carry, the curtailment, the audit fee, and eventually the discount he has to take to make it go away. And you pay for every bit of that in the end, because the cost of a store's floor plan is baked into the price of every car on the property, not the one that sat. All of them. Here is what I want you to sit with. There is no villain in that chain. Nobody in it is scheming. It is just that the only party with a real financial reason to stop overbuilding is the dealer, and the dealer does not decide what gets built. And when the tariffs landed and the cost had to go somewhere, watch where it went. Not onto the sticker, where you would notice and compare it. Into the destination fee. Alphas went from $1,595 to $3,250. Full-size trucks and SUVs from General Motors and Ford went to $2,795. Destination is not negotiable, it is not in the advertised price, and virtually nobody questions it. There is no money in telling you a car has been sitting for 200 days. There is a very great deal of money in you never thinking to ask. I have been around machines long enough to have a soft spot for the ones that were honest about what they were. An old truck told you the truth. It cost what it cost. It did what it did. When it failed, you could see why, standing right there with a flashlight. No coupon held the arithmetic together. Somebody built a thing, priced it at what it took to build plus a living, and you either bought it or you did not. What is sitting on those lots is not rot and it is not waste. It is a gap, the exact distance between what a room full of people 3 years ago decided you would want and pay for, and what you, standing there with a job and a payment and an insurance bill that went up again, can actually carry. And I will tell you what bothers me about it. It is not that they guessed wrong. Everybody guesses wrong. It is that the way this thing is built, guessing wrong does not hurt the people who guessed. It hurts the dealer, and it hurts you, and it almost never reaches the room where the guess was made. Good engineering is honest about what it costs. If a machine only makes sense with a government credit stapled to the hood, that is not engineering. That is arithmetic that only closed because somebody handed you a coupon. So here is what I actually want you to do with all of this. 1. Stop reading a long day supply number as an insult to the car. 9 of the 12 on this list are there because of a tariff, an expired credit, a cyber attack, a launch sequence, a letter from a federal agency, or a factory that walked away. The buyer barely appears in the story at all. 2. When you are standing on a lot, find the build date. It is on the certification sticker in the driver's door jamb, month and year, and there is not a salesman alive who will stop you from reading it. If that sticker says the vehicle was built 14 months ago, you now know something they were hoping you would not check. 3. Then ask for the in-service date. That is when the dealer took possession, and it is what starts the clock on aging and often on the warranty too. 4. Then use your eyes the way I showed you at the start. Kneel down and look at the face of the rotors through the spokes. Roll it out and listen for that thump at 20. And ask when the 12-volt battery was last on a tender, because a battery that has been drained flat and jumped 4 times over a winter is not a new battery anymore, whatever the window sticker says. 5. And then leverage it. A vehicle sitting at 200+ days is costing that store money every single hour it is there, and the general manager knows the figure to the dollar. Bringing that up is not you being difficult. That is you walking in as the person who solves his most expensive problem. Here is the moment I want for you. 6 months from now, you are on a lot on a Saturday afternoon, and there is a very good SUV parked in the back with a fine engine, a $100,000 sticker, and a build date from last spring. And instead of feeling like the mark, you feel the floor tilt the other way, because you know what that thing costs him to keep. You know why it is sitting, and you know it has nothing whatsoever to do with whether it is any good. That is the entire point of understanding how the machine works. Now tell me something in the comments below. I want to know what has been sitting on your local lot the longest and how long you have watched it sit. Give me the model, give me your town, and give me your honest guess at why. Especially if you work at a store, or you used to. The people who have actually written the curtailment check know things I do not, and those replies are the reason I keep doing this. I read every single one of them. And subscribe, because the next one is the one I have been promising for a while, and I am finally doing it. Filled for life. That is the phrase. It is printed in the owner's manual of an enormous number of automatic transmissions on the road right now. It means exactly what you are afraid it means, and it may be the most expensive 3 words in the history of the automobile. I am going to show you whose life they are talking about, who decided it, what is actually happening to that fluid down there at 100,000 miles, and why a torque converter clutch starts shuddering at almost precisely the mileage it does. If anyone has ever told you your transmission does not need a service, that one is for you. Until then, next time you drive past a lot and see a row of them lined up in the back, do not waste a second wondering who did not want them. Wonder who is still paying for them. That is the better question, and it has a real answer. I will see you in the next one.